Hey, WhatCulture viewers. I hope you're enjoying your Labor Day weekend, enjoying it as it's basically the end of the summer. So, I'm just going to get down to it. Our song of the week is Bored to Death by Blink-182. I kind of got into it after I saw the music video Dark Side by Blink-182, but Bored to Death is just so much better. But it's kind of ironic and whatnot because we're about to get into a really morbid subject. Let's get into it. Now, I recently just watched the movie My Sister's Keeper, which it's an extremely clever movie. I will give it that. And that it really had an impact on filmmaking and whatnot. It's really insightful. I thought it was just going to be your run-of-the-mill movie where there's a character with cancer and whatnot, but it actually turned out to be, it just transformed my perception on it. It's really something. So let's get down to the general plot. So Anna is an 11-year-old girl who is basically a savior child. She has the genetic match to her older sister who's 15 and has acute promyelolytic leukemia. And for her whole life, Anna has been just donating to help keep Kate alive. And then suddenly Anna comes forward with a motion to sue her mother so that she could have medical emancipation, which medical emancipation is where you can't be forced to make medical decisions if you don't want to do them. And this raised a lot of, how do I say it? How do I say it? It raised concern from the overbearing mother. And the father, he was kind of on Kate and Anna's side. And it has a lot of flashbacks, like how all this is happening. Like, discovering how Kate had cancer, what's going on with Jesse, who is the middle child, the brother, who is also dyslexic, so that kind of had a little bit of an issue, but it really didn't do much for the story. But Jesse does have a lot of stuff that impacts him from the story. Because he basically is one of those troubled youth that hangs out in the streets, and I don't know what he does, but still. And it really all comes together well. And there was also Kate dating a kid with cancer named Taylor, and then Taylor passed, and she tried to commit suicide. And really, Anna having that motion to sue her family, that was actually put in motion by Kate. And that was actually a pretty good plot twist. I gotta admit, I did not see that coming. I really didn't. And I'm one of those people who loves a good plot twist because it really transforms what you think of a movie initially. And then you really look into it. This is one of the best medical dramas I've seen. Now, usually I don't watch medical dramas or dramas like this because I just don't. I'm just a typical guy. But when I'm comparing it to Grey's Anatomy, the good thing about My Sister's Keeper is that it doesn't drag on. It keeps you interested and it has a nice time limit to it. Unlike Grey's Anatomy, where it's full of dialogue that is eventually going to bore you. My Sister's Keeper, there are moments where there's just no dialogue for several minutes. I mean, over it's cheesy music, but come on. It gets the feeling going. So, let's get into all the stuff about this movie, about why I think it's extremely clever. The first part is the amount of legal knowledge, all that research into laws that they put in. Like first, talking about wanting the medical emancipation, or talking about how in California that the legal age for emancipation is like 14 or 16, something like that. Talk about that. There's court proceedings, all that stuff they have to do, and how it relates to both the judge and the lawyer. Because the lawyer that Anna hires, now, she just thought he took on the case because he was getting money, but it turns out he was epileptic, and he kind of knows what it's like to have no control over his body. So that's why he took the case. Meanwhile, the judge had her child taken away from her, unfortunately, due to a car accident. And it's obviously going to hit her. So every major character in this is somehow impacted by the events. It's really something. And it's just an amazing movie. There's the legalities. And what's more, the mother, who is overbearing, is just not having it. And she's a lawyer too. It's one of those ironic things for dramas. It's like in Sons of Anarchy, whenever Abel gets born, and suddenly, all of a sudden, Jax's ex-lover, who soon does become his girlfriend again, is a neonatal doctor or surgeon. Blech. I'm not going to get into exact terminology for that stuff because that's not my area. But yeah, the legal knowledge is one of those big things I really enjoyed about the movie. Because knowing how I am with politics, I like a bit of law. So that was a good point. The next point is the amount of scientific research they put into it. Like, they really went far to put in terminology and make it look accurate. That's one thing. And listing all like the medical stuff that Anna had to go through just to try and save Kate, that's some good stuff. It's more of a minor point because it's not as emphasized in the movie, but still, that's something that I have to appreciate. They don't just say it's leukemia; they actually say the full name of which type of leukemia it is. And of course, I've been emphasizing this point: the overbearing mother. Now, I can know what it's like to have an overbearing mother, and now the character of the overbearing mother, played by Cameron Diaz, she doesn't know it, but she has this like pseudo-abusive state. I mean, you can get where she's coming from, but she doesn't understand because her wanting to save her own child is blocked by what her child wants. The child wanted to die naturally because she had lost the only person she had really loved in the movie. The mother is just focused on saving her kid, and I can understand that, but she was a tad overbearing. And I kind of saw myself relating more to the main characters rather than the mother. I can't remember the mother's name. I think it was Sarah, but still. It's one of those things. And really, I knew about this movie for a while, but I didn't think to watch it until now, whenever it finally came to Netflix. The first time I had ever heard of this movie was back some 10 years ago. I went to Indiana, and I was at my cousin's place, and they were watching. I'm like, where are you watching? They're like, oh, My Sister's Keeper. I'm like, because at the time, I didn't really think much of movies like that. If the movie has an interesting premise or whatnot, I'm going to watch it. Like, I'm not constricted to any genre of movies. If it intrigues me, I will watch it. That's that. Then there's other stuff that goes on to the scientific knowledge thing that is actually a known issue that gets talked about a bit. But it's the ramifications of having donor babies, aka saver children, in genetic engineering. It's a really big topic on ethics. So this movie, it's not just a drama about a family, but it can sort of be a discussion on the ethics and morality of genetics. Well, stuff dealing with genetics and whatnot. Because you can kind of see stuff relating to the initial reason why Anna had moved forward with suing her parents. And that is like the donor babies, they technically don't have their own reason to live. They're not happy accidents. They're not planned. It's just that they're engineered just to help it out. Like the child that needs help. And it's basically they would be saying, I didn't ask to be born. Because it would suck to have a child who only whose only purpose in the world is to donate. Like, you would have a child and expect them to do what it is they want to do, but instead you're making all the choices for them. So, I can see that. And of course, genetic engineering, where you're genetically engineering a donor baby to eventually just save their sibling. But then at the end, she comes to realize it's not that she was there to be genetically engineered. She was there because she had a sister. Which, that's just one of those dramatic things, but still, it's a good movie. And there are many ramifications of donor babies and genetic engineering, because you have to ask yourself the question, is this moral? Is this something that is not going to bite you socially, but naturally, in the terms of nature? Because we've had many, many stories and whatnot that tell us about genetic engineering or messing with nature and trying to play God. And one of those first stories involved Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's like, should we really bring the dead back to life, or should we really try to create our own life? And really, that's one of those things that we shouldn't do, at least that's in my opinion. And in the end, there really was an impact to be brought in the movie. And I saw myself laughing a couple times at the parts that were definitely meant to be laughed at, because it just shows how much depth the character of Kate has. Like, how whenever they had to do a urine test and she just snuck apple juice in there, and she decided to torment the nurse that really was trying to take it seriously. That was a bit funny. Meanwhile, towards the end, I was starting to cry a little bit. Not gonna lie. I mean, not full on crying, but there was definitely something to be choked back. Because it's one of those movies that actually does hit you. Like, you don't expect it, but it hits you that hard. There's usually other movies where you just see something. I just don't understand. But when it's a movie like this, especially a movie like this, it's going to hit me. But I think that's because of my experiences of having a couple friends who have had cancer, members of my family having cancer. So I guess it's like that, how it relates to you sort of deal. Now, to me, I'm not going to say anything if you don't like a movie where the character of the MacGuffin has cancer, which a MacGuffin is a person or object in a story that serves as what motivates the plot, what takes it along. I don't mean to be offensive, it's just a literary term. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, it really relates to you if you've ever had to deal with relatives or friends that have had cancer. Now me, times my family members of mine went to cancer, I wasn't around. Like my Uncle John, I wasn't around for that, but I was alive for that because that happened last year, and it's kind of weird that he's gone now, but I'm not going to get into that. Or like, one member of my family had breast cancer, which I wasn't alive for that. I wasn't even thought of at that time, I think. But I've already talked about the topic of cancer before in the 15-minute episode, WhatCulture is Bryce Strong, because my friend Bryce, who has leukemia right now, which I should give an update. He is doing really well. Like, of course, there's stuff that comes along with him doing chemo, like the hair loss and whatnot, but he's doing really well. And the fact that he's in such good shape has brought a lot of hope from his doctors, so that's good to hear. Back on the subject, but all that stuff dealing with donor babies and genetic engineering, it's some good stuff. I didn't expect it to be that much of a discussion on social issues like that. I know I'm not supposed to talk politics, but really, I'm diving in to what I think of the movie and analysis of my own of what this movie is talking about. I'm not giving my political views. I'm just appraising how much this movie is managing to do. The thing is, it's 10 years old, so it kind of still holds up despite the outdated technology, such as the old Nokia phones or handheld cameras that don't come in a phone. Yeah. But then we really got to go to the next part, which is how this movie set a precedent for many others. Like, you see recently how, like, every now and then there's a movie that pops up where the characters have cancer. And it basically follows a similar formula to this. Basically, where every movie character gets diagnosed with cancer, and then in their last year, around their last year of living, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff. They're drinking, possibly doing drugs, having sex, doing bucket list stuff. All the stuff that they want to do so they don't have to feel like they didn't do or get to experience everything in life before they die. That's a very understandable thing. I can understand that. And then they have some kind of connection to a person. And after that, they inevitably pass on. And I hate to see that because, like I said, it's the typical format of a movie. And maybe, what if there's just one where maybe that character with cancer doesn't die and it's just another person and they have to live with that? Technically, that happened in Fault in Our Stars, but I never saw that movie. I just know the general plot of that. That's one of those ones where it typically follows the same plot, but it does have a bit of a monkey wrench thrown in. But one movie I can say that sort of ripped some plot from this was the movie Then Came You, which is on Netflix right now. It has Asa Butterfield and Maisie Williams, both British actors, except Butterfield is playing an American and Maisie is still playing a Brit, which it kind of throws me off because I'm like, is Maisie not able to play an American? I'm like, oh, she immigrated. And that kind of made me understand it. But the general plot is she has a bucket list, and Butterfield is a hypochondriac. I mean, you don't see that in My Sister's Keeper, but still. It still follows the same general thing of movies where the characters have cancer. But I do want to say that My Sister's Keeper definitely impacted how these movies come along. Because other movies where the character has cancer is just really dramatic, like how it's impacting the family and whatnot. But now we've got movies where the character has cancer where it's a focus on them. Like them maintaining their independence, how they want to do what they want to do, and not be constrained to a hospital bed all the time. That's what I'm taking from this. Like I said, it is a good movie. I do recommend it if you're in for a tearjerker. That's what I will say. But all in all, it really has its own legacy, like I said. If you want to know one drama movie that I didn't like very much, it was Good Will Hunting. The climax was just meh. I didn't feel anything toward it. Like, you're building up, this guy just has a bunch of trust issues, and it just turns out he was abused himself, but it just stopped there. It didn't lead up to something trying to resolve it. At least that's my opinion on that movie. If you're going to make a drama, you got to throw in plot twists. You got to throw in something that ultimately resolves everything. My Sister's Keeper did that job. Where it turns out that one of the major plot points of the movie was planned out by Kate. That Kate wanted that. It's really one of those discussions on a child's independence, or letting a child do what they want to do. Like, can they carefully think out things? Can they truly make their own decisions? Do they have that independence? In this case, it's one of those special topics. It really is. So, definitely a good movie. And I think that's all the time I have that I can really go on about it before I start repeating myself, because lately, in my videos, I tend to repeat myself because I don't have more points than I already have. Because literally, I just have 4 points about the movie and 1 point about the song of the week. That's how much I have in my notebook, because I try to condense points so I don't take up a whole page, or it's just something, but I try to keep videos at least 20 to 25 minutes, because that's just how this podcast rolls. But yeah, if you want to, watch My Sister's Keeper. Good movie. Like I said, song of the week, Bored to Death. It's a good song. Of course, I will recommend a lot of songs. Dark Side is a good song by Blink-182. Don't listen to the music video because it's a little bit cringy, but the song is definitely something good. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the music video, there is a video I put out which was an analysis of the music video of Dark Side, and you can check that out too. Other songs I could have included were things like Breaking the Silence by Breaking Benjamin off their Dark Before Dawn album, but still, I try to keep it to just one song per week, and that's that. So, like always, like the video if you wanted to. I don't care. Subscribe to the channel because we could use subscribers and you can get more content from us from a diverse range of thoughts. And you can comment your own ideas. I generally don't care because I'm going to do this because I talk myself out. And I like discussing this stuff. It's an outlet for me. But you do you. Anyways, I have been Dash Island like always for WhatCulture, and we'll see you next time.